Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 14th June 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 7 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see first topic. Title says a year after Galwan clash, China strengthening base along LAC. So this article mainly talking about line of actual control. This is between India and China. So now let us try to see map. So let me try map here. So here we have this LAC line. This is line of actual control. So what happened since April, May 2020 onwards, there is standoff that is happening along this LAC region, line of actual control between India and China. So that also led to Galwan Valley incident. So in this incident, many soldiers, Indian side and as well as Chinese side, they died. And we didn't get official number of people or official number of soldiers of China died in this Galwan Valley incident. So this article mainly says that 1 year after this Galwan clash, China is strengthening base along this line of actual control. So how this article will be important? So this article will be important from international relations, which comes under GS paper 2. So you need to focus on India-China relations here, and as well as you need to focus on this LAC region, and you have to see where this Pongyong Tso Lake is present, where this Galwan Valley is present, and as well as some areas like valleys, okay, that are present in this region. You have to arrange them in north to south and as well as south to north. So this is important from map point of view. So I will suggest you please open your atlas and see this area very keenly. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So this article mainly focusing on this line of actual control. So what you have to know here? Here you have to know where is this line of actual control, that is LAC, which is present, and you have to see context. So recently, a year since the clash which between armies of India and China at Galwan Valley. This Galwan Valley located in eastern Ladakh. So now Chinese People Liberation Army, which built additional accommodation in depth areas along this LAC region. So this is according to official sources. So context mainly says that based on some official sources, so a year since this clash between armies of India and as well as army of China, that is a People Liberation Army of China. So now we have Chinese army which is going for building of some additional accommodation along this LAC region. So because of this is in news. And now let us talk about some important details. So if you say details, it mainly says that is Chinese army has built some additional accommodations. For example, both permanent and as well as temporary accommodations that mainly seen in places like Rudok, Kangziwa, Gayantis and as well as Golmud areas. So they went for construction of some field hospital and also went for procurement of additional snow mobility vehicles. So whenever they are going for this type of infrastructure development there, it mainly indicates that they are preparing for long haul and they are also going for permanent winter occupation also along this LAC region. So this is one important significance of this study. And China is also intensifying some construction work behind the main confrontation points which are mainly seen in this Aksai Chin region. And as well as here Chinese soldiers, they are mainly trained in anti-tank rocket launchers and Greenway launchers, anti-aircraft machine guns and as well as other weapons. So they are trained mostly. So because of this, we are having some tensions. We are going to see some extension tensions along this LAC region. So this is this topic, and now let us move on to next topic. Title says fight against authoritarianism, extremism, says Prime Minister at G7 meet. So this article mainly talking about a G7 summit, and this article mainly giving some important outcomes of this recent G7 summit. So in this recent G7 summit, India also participated as a guest. India participated through virtual mode. So this article will be important regarding international relations, which mainly comes under GS paper 2. So what you have to focus? You have to focus on this, what is this G7 summit, especially beginners, and you have to see what are the key commitments, because that will be important from your mains point of view. And about this G7 you can expect some prelims based questions. So now let us try to understand this article completely. First, let us see context. So if you see context, it mainly says that India is a natural ally to work with the world's richest G7 countries to fight against authoritarianism and as well as extremism. So India participates in this summit, right? So here in this context, that is our Prime Minister made a statement that India, it is a natural ally to work with world's richest G7 countries, and we are also going to fight against this authoritarianism and as well as extremism. So this is context. And now let us see some details. So this article mainly says that there is need for free, open and also inclusive Indo-Pacific region. So this is a statement which is given our US President. So in this context, in this G7 summit, US President also proposed Build Back Better World, that is B3W. So you can expect question like, so recently B3W is seen in news, what it is related to. So in this way you can expect prelims based question. Okay, so B3W, it is a Build Back Better World. So it is mainly seen as counter to China's $1 trillion Belt and Road Initiative, that is BRI. Okay, so against this BRI initiative, US President mainly proposes B3W. So it is to counter this China's One Belt One Road, that is BRI, Road Broad and Road Belt and Road Initiative. Okay, so here this B3W also endorsed by this G7, and they want to keep in mind principles of transparency and as well as inclusion. So in this context, our Prime Minister mainly calls on technological companies and as well as social media platforms mainly need to ensure safe cyber environment for all, because recently cyber threats are very much high, not only in India but also even in world developed countries also. So because of this, in this context, this provide a platform for our Prime Minister mainly to call for these technological companies and as well as some global companies and social media companies to focus on how to prevent this cyber security threats. So now let us talk about what are the key outcomes of this meet. So first one here is G7 countries, they are going to donate 1 billion vaccine doses to developing countries. So this is first important thing. And next one is G7 to Build Back Better World, that is a B3W. So it is alternative infrastructure initiative to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative. And next one is they are also reaffirm a tax deal for global minimum corporate tax. So today compulsorily at any cost I will be uploading video on this global minimum corporate tax. So already I made notes for this. So just recording is pending. I will be recording by afternoon and I will be posting by today night or most probably by tomorrow morning. Okay, so please watch that video because I am going to give you many insights regarding this global minimum corporate tax in that video. So, and another more key outcome here is inquiry into origins of this COVID-19. So these are some important key outcomes of this G7 summit. So now let us try to see some facts regarding this. What is this G7? So if you say this G7, it is a group of 7. So mainly includes developing countries that are present across world. They include mainly Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK and US. So these are 7 countries which part of this G7. So you have to remember this for sure. So this G7 mainly converted into G8 after including Russia. But in 2014, Russia occupied Crimea and Russia mainly removed out of this group, and now it is a G7 itself. So G7, it is a group of 7, mainly includes world developed economies. For example, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK and US. So if you're talking about this G7, it is intergovernment organization. So this organization formed in year 1975. So this organization mainly formed by top economies of the time. So initially it was formed as an effort by US and its allies to discuss economic issues. So now here G7 forum will also discuss several challenges, for example increasing oil prices across globe, financial crisis, terrorism, arms control and as well as drug trafficking. So these issues are also discussed now in this G7 forum. So this is just of this topic. I hope it is very clear. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says no greater risk to children from anticipated third wave. It is according to one report. So we are in present second wave of coronavirus. So in this peak of this second wave of coronavirus, it recorded more than 4 lakh cases per 24 hours, and also it recorded more than 4,000 deaths per one day. So now there is a fear of we are also going to get a third wave, and there are some predictions like this third wave, it is very much harmful for children especially. So because of this type of study, it is very important to predict what is going to happen in our near future. So this article mainly talking about anticipated third wave risk on children especially. So this topic will be important regarding GS paper 2 under health. So you have to know what is happening around us. So I took this article for discussion. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that no evidence so far to conclude children face a greater risk of infection, greater danger from a COVID-19 infection. So here recently Lancet COVID-19 Commission and India Task Force, they came up with one report. So this report said that there is no evidence so far to conclude that this third wave of coronavirus, which is a greater risk of infection for especially children. Okay. So if you see, this Indian Task Force mainly contains group of people. Those people are experts across the country. For example, clinicians from top government medical colleges and also large private and charitable hospitals, etc. They consist of pediatrics. So this Indian Task Force groups mainly contains pediatrics from different pediatric experts from across the country, and they include clinicians from top government medical colleges and as well as large private and charitable hospitals, etc. So this Lancet COVID-19 Commission report said that so we need not fear, or there is no greater risk of infection in children, especially regarding this third wave. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see details, it mainly says that mortality rate among hospitalized COVID-19 positive children who are below age of 10 years, it is just 2.4%. Okay. So number of children who are hospitalized because of this COVID-19 positive and mortality rate in those patients is 2.4%. And next one is 40% of children who died with this COVID-19, they are already having some comorbidities, and 9% of hospitalized positive children, they are below 10 years of age. That means only 9% of children, they need some special care and they are admitted in hospitals. Okay, so if you are talking about data globally, so as of May 2021, all COVID positive cases, there are about 0.1 to 1.9% across globe, and mortality was also very significantly low. It is 0.1% when we are comparing across globe. Okay, so because of this, this report mainly says that there is nothing much like risk. So if you are talking about concerns with this COVID-19 and children, so what is the important thing we need to remember? So reports mainly says that whenever children who are getting this COVID-19 positive, so in some children who are vulnerable, in those children we are seeing one important syndrome, that is multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children. So whenever children who are affecting with this multi-system inflammatory syndrome, then they need some hospitalized care. Okay, so condition mainly mimics like viral or bacterial or rickettsial infections in children. So first important early signs we can identify here is atypical Karakasi disease. That means we can see like gastrointestinal manifestations like GI tract, gastrointestinal tract, that is stomach, small intestine and as well as large intestine infections. So whenever we are getting or children getting this inflammation or this syndrome, then they will feel like abdominal pain, and this abdominal pain which is mainly mimicking like appendicitis. So during this appendicitis also, children, they will feel extreme abdominal pain, and they also feel like diarrhea, and also they will resemble like toxic shock syndrome also. So these are some important signs and symptoms of this syndrome. And now let us talk about some psychological impact that children are facing. So recently one meta-analysis study mainly done, and this study mainly done across 10 countries, and finally it came up with key highlights. So if you see highlights of this report, it mainly says that 22,996 children or adolescents, they are experiencing behavioral and also psychological change, and about 79.4% of respondents children, they reported that they are negatively impacting because of pandemic and as well as pandemic imposed lockdowns. And next one is 22 to 25, 22.5% of children, they had significant fear of this COVID-19. Even parents are very much cautious, like they are not sending their children to neighbor house, or they are not sending their children to playgrounds to play, or parks, or any recreational centers. Okay, so because of this, now children, they are facing like behavioral and as well as psychological change. So even schools are shut down. So because of this, there is limited interaction of teachers and as well as friends that are seen for the students. Okay, so because of this, now because of this COVID-19 pandemic and as well as COVID-19 imposed lockdowns, children, they are mainly experiencing some behavioral changes and as well as psychological change. And about 35.2% of children, they complained of boredom, and 21.3% of children, they are also facing some sleep disturbances. So these are some key highlights of this report. So this is overall gist of this topic. And now let us try to move to next topic. Title says a tree of coffee family discovered in Andaman and Nicobar. So if you see this image, so this is the image of that plant, that tree actually. So name of that tree here is Pyrostria laggi. Okay, Pyrostria laggi. So you can expect question like recently Pyrostria laggi, it is seen in news. So what it is related to? So you can get options like recently mango variety, or a tree of coffee family, and sometimes you can see like recently identified new snakes in Western Ghats. So in this way you can get options, and you have to be focused whenever you are getting this type of little tidbits. Okay, so this article will be important regarding environment and ecology, which mainly comes under GS paper 3. So this article will be important especially from prelims point of view, not from mains. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So context mainly says that 15 meters tall tree belongs to genus of coffee family, which has been recently identified or discovered in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So this study mainly done by some team of researchers. So these researchers from India and as well as Philippines, they found 15 meters tall tree belongs to genus of coffee family. And if you're talking about some important details, it mainly says that new species, that is Pyrostria laggi. So it is the first recorded of the genes Pyrostria, which is seen in India itself. Okay, so this tree mainly belongs to genus Pyrostria. So now let us try to see important features of that tree. So it is having a long stem, and this stem, it is mainly covered by whitish coating on its trunk, and it is listed under critically endangered in IUCN Red List, and it is having oblong obovate leaves with cuneate base. And first time this tree which is reported in Vandoor forest. So I will give you one more tip here. So whenever any forest or any national park or any wildlife sanctuary which is seen in news, you can get a prelims question from that. So I can frame a one question here. So Vandoor forest, which is located in which area? And you can get examples like Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Andaman, Nicobar. So in this way you can also expect some prelims based questions. So here Vandoor forest, which is located in South Andaman, and also they are identified in other areas like Tinnur forest, which is near Javara Reserve Forest, and next one is Chindia Tapu forest. Also we found this type of trees. So this is gist of this topic, and now let us move on to next topic. Title says rare earth metals at the heart of China-US rivalry. So this article mainly talking about rare earth metals. I think in plus 2 you have studied about this rare earth metals. And let me know in comment box what are these rare earth metals, and don't forget about this homework. So this topic will be important regarding GS paper 2 under international relations. You need to refer about relationship between US and as well as China. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So context mainly says that if you go to background, in 2019, US imported about 80% of its rare earth metals from China. This according to US Geological Survey says. So according to US Geological Survey, it mainly says that in 2019, US imported about 80% of its rare earth minerals from China. And European Union also get its supply from China. It is about 98% of this rare earth metals. So it is according to data which is given by European Commission. So what is the issue now? So if you are talking about rare earth metals, for example, neodymium, paraxylonium, dysprosium. So these are some important examples of rare earth metals. So I want to frame another prelims question here. So dynonium, parasodium and dysprosium, they are seen recently in news. So what are they? For example, you can get like they are newly identified metals, and in option B you can get they are rare earth metals, and option C you can get that like there are so and so archaeological sites. For in option D you can see like there are Harappan sites. So in this way you can expect questions. So this neodymium and paraxylonium and as well as dysprosium, they are rare earth metals. So in this way you need to be focused whenever you are reading Hindu newspaper. Don't read blindly. Okay. So these are some rare earth metals. They are very much crucial for manufacturing of magnets. So these are mainly used in industries of future like wind turbines and as well as some electric cars. So why we want to focus on this electric cars and as well as wind turbines? Why they are future industries? Because now we are using non-renewable sources, like for example we are using coal and as well as crude oil to run our vehicles. So whenever we are using these non-renewable sources, that is also leading to increase in greenhouse gas emissions. And whenever we want to achieve target of carbon neutrality, and as well as whenever we want to achieve decreasing of global warming according to Paris climate deal, we need to go for using of renewable energy sources rather than this non-renewable energy. So for example, we can go for wind turbines or wind energy. It is also one source of renewable energy, and also electric cars we can use that to decrease this greenhouse gas emissions. So because of this they are called as future industries. So in this future industries, for example manufacturing of magnets, so this will be very much useful here. So if you are talking about this rare earth metals, they are already been using in some consumer goods. For example, smartphones, computer screens and as well as telescopic lenses. So recently to address this, US Senate mainly passed a law. So important aim of this law, it is to improve American competitiveness. That mainly includes some provisions of improving of critical mineral supply chains. And next one is some more important aim of this US Senate law is to boost production and as well as processing of rare earth metals and as well as lithium and as well as other key mineral component. So it want to work with other allies also to increase sustainable global supply and mainly to reduce resilience on competitors, because always we know that US, which is a competitor for China it is a competitor of US. So whenever US, which is mainly dependent on this China for this rare earth metals, so these rare earth metals are very much important for future minerals. So whenever this China, which is not exporting these rare earth metals, means production and manufacturing of this future companies will be reduced, right? So because of this, it want to diverse its supply chains. It do not want to blindly depend on this China for this rare earth metal import. Okay, so because of this US Senate which came up with this law. So now let us try to see next topic. Title says renewed uncertainty. So this article mainly talking about revival of our economy. So earlier we saw revival of economy, but again our consumption led demand which is very much less in economy. So this article mainly showing about different so and so reports which are saying like this and what can be done finally. So this topic will be important regarding economy point of view, which mainly comes under GS paper 3. And this topic now we are going to discuss that will be important from mains point of view. And I will suggest you please make a note of whatever the reports now we are going to discuss. So whenever you are getting data, that will be very useful whenever you are writing mains answer and whenever you want to substantiate your argument. So you need some data or reports. So now let us try to see this topic. So this article mainly talking about demand in our economy especially. So recently one output data, that is factory output data, which released by National Statistical Office, it mainly said that there is some rocky start that economy is having in new fiscal year. So here one important estimate by this National Statistical Office which made that there is a rocky start in our economy. So if you are talking about some background, so in April, Index of Industrial Production released, and this Index of Industrial Production mainly talks about three important sectors. First one is mining, second one is manufacturing, and third one is electricity. So this report mainly said that we are suffering some reverses here. So output mainly that slide below preceding months. Okay. So before April, so how much IIP is there in IIP of this April, which is very much low here. And because of the second wave of this global pandemic COVID-19, so there is an increasing intensity, and as well as several industrial hubs are coming under renewed local lockdowns. So because of this second wave of coronavirus, so we are seeing there is a large amount of increasing of cases. So because of this, whatever industries are present, and we went for restricted lockdowns, and as well as we went for restricted curfews, and finally in some states and almost in most of the states they went for imposition of lockdowns. So because of this, activities of these industries that decreased again. So if you're talking about this one data, it mainly says that in 6 end use categories, for example primary industries, capital industries, intermediate industries, and construction goods, consumer durables, and as well as consumer non-durables, so there are some contractions that are evident here, and production also decreased. Okay, so this is first important thing. And next one is, if you are talking about this consumer non-durables, household essentials, so because of a lack of unemployment, that means many people they lost their employment opportunities, and especially for this daily wage earners, because of this lockdowns they are losing their life, they are losing their work, and because of this they are also losing their income. So finally what happened, whenever there is no money in hands of those people, they will not go to market to buy goods and services, especially this consumer non-durables. So because of this, now household essentials they are led to 11% of contraction. And next one is manufacturing and as well as service PMI, that is Purchasing Managers Index, which also said that retail automobile sales also constrained. And even IHS market survey, which is mainly done for manufacturing and as well as services. So this manufacturing, it is also stagnating in last month, and services also contracting from last 8 months onwards. And even Purchasing Managers Index, it also came up with this output index. It mainly said that it was 55.4% in April, and it found that it is just 48.1% in May. So because of this, we can see some moderate reduction of activity that is seen in month of May. And as well as one more detail it is given in this article here is new vehicle registrations are also decreased, that is halved by month of May. So in month of May here, whatever registrations that are happening, so that registrations are decreased to half. So because of that is one of a sign which is mainly showing that there is a demand drought in market. There is no demand in market. So not only this, in economy we are facing some more challenges. First one is job losses, which is mainly increasing in our market, and we also seeing that consumers are spending, which is decreased in market, and there is increase in health care cost, because earlier in first wave of coronavirus we saw that in urban areas that led to increase in number of cases, but in second wave of this coronavirus, especially in rural areas, there is increasing of transmission of these cases. So because of this, in these rural areas, they do not have proper healthcare infrastructure, especially, right? In rural areas, we are seeing only primary healthcare centers are present, but not tertiary but not multi-specialty hospitals. So people who are having these critical symptoms of this COVID-19, they need hospital admissions and they need external support of this oxygen, right? So because of this, in these people, there is increased healthcare cost that is seen here. So because of this, healthcare costs are increasing, so there is also leading to depletion of savings. So these are some important challenges we are seeing in this people. So if you are talking about this article, mainly says that what can be done from government side. So government need to create demand in market. So to create demand in market, government need to increase its expenditure. So government need to go for this physical support measures also. And this one is government need to quicken this pace of vaccinations such that we can achieve this herd immunity. Further, that will lead to decrease in transmission of these cases. Finally, it will further leads to economic recovery. So this is just of this topic, and I hope it is clear. Now let us move on to next topic. Before saying next topic, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. If you want to clear UPSC 2022, we came up with one excellent, highly beneficial and also highly economical course, that is current affairs package along with the mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful? So this course will be useful because one thing you need to remember here is, before entering into examination hall, you need to know at least 1.5 years current affairs for sure. So this is right time to join this course to cover this 1.5 years current affairs in a comprehensive manner. And why you need to focus on this current affairs? Because in prelims, mains and even in interview, you can get questions from this current affairs. To answer those questions, you need to build some perspectives. And this course, it is very useful to master current affairs. And next one is mains answer writing practice. Many students who lack this mains answer writing practice, because especially who are freshers or beginners, they will be thinking like, after completing NCERTs, we will going to start this, and after completing some basic standard books, we are going to start this, but they never start this. Can I know how many students who didn't started this mains answer writing practice yet? And let me know in comment box. And in this course, we are mainly focusing on how to improve your answer writing skills. And if you join this course, we also conduct prelims test on every Sunday, and we also provide a video explanation part. So this course, which is designed as per demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing. Please try to join this course as soon as possible and don't take this course as a choice. For further details of this course, link which is given in description box. So please visit that once. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can call to this number. Please note this number, 8074765513. So I want to make a small final call here. So within the next 10 days, the price of this course will be going to be almost doubled. So if you want to join this course, and this is right time, so course cost is just 3,650 rupees. Okay, it is for 1 year. Please don't miss this chance. Okay, so if you want to join this course after 10 days, so price will be almost doubled. So please make a fast decision now. Okay, so now let's come back and let us say next topic. Title says the world is hardly wired for cyber resilience. So this article mainly talking about cyber attacks. So recently we saw that in India there are a number of cyber attacks. Recently in Mumbai electricity also there is cyber attack. And as well as not only that, there are a number of cyber attacks that are seen in India. But it is not especially seen in India, but across world cyber attacks are increasing day by day. So this article mainly gave about examples of cyber attacks which happened in USA. And this article said that what is the need of data protection and what can be done. So this topic will be very important regarding GS paper 3 under internal security. Okay, so now let us try to talk about this topic in a very great detail. So before this, I want to give you a small homework. So there are many terms like phishing is seen, and as well as there are many terms which are given in this article which are regarding the cyber security. So please do some research regarding that. Okay, what is the difference between malware, what is the difference in phishing, etc. Okay, so I already discussed number of times regarding that terms in our Hindu analysis. So because of this I am not taking in this lecture. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that a high profile cyber attacks that are seen in recent months. So because of this high profile cyber attacks that is seen, now it is exposing what are the vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure that we are having even in some advanced developed nations. So in developing countries and as well as in developed countries, so we are seeing cyber attacks. So why? What is the need of these cyber attacks? So these hackers, they want to get information. Now information, it is becoming a very important tool in this 21st century. So because of this they want to collect maximum data. Okay, so because of this now we are experiencing high profile cyber attacks in recent months. So now these cyber attacks, they are exposing some vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure, even in advanced nations also. So for example, if you are talking about examples, so there are many examples which are given in this topic, in this article regarding some recent attacks of USA. So high profile cyber attacks, they were reported in USA. So first one is SolarWinds. Okay, this SolarWinds cyber attacks, which has been believed it is having some background or sponsored by Russia, and because of this SolarWinds, now breaches across several rings that are seen in regarding fields like defense, energy, and as well as a state. And there are, after this, thousands of US organizations, they were hacked in early 2021, and this mainly done by some Chinese groups, that is Hafnium. And this Hafnium, this Chinese group, mainly exploited serious flaws in Microsoft software. And there are 3 more attacks that are happened after this. So this ransomware attack mainly done by Russia and as well as some East Europe based cyber criminals. And later US also experienced this Russia backed group, that is Nobilium. So this Nobilium launched a phishing attack on 3,000 email accounts. So you have to know what is different between this malware, ransomware, and as well as phishing. And this Nobilium mainly targeted USAID and as well as several other organizations to get data. Okay, so these attacks, they were all primarily focusing on now civilian targets. Earlier, these cyber attacks mainly done on defense and as well as security things, but now here the data which is becoming an important thing, right? So because of this, now they are attacking some civilian targets. Because now cyber warfare, it is a 5th domain and it is one of important dimension of warfare now. Traditionally they used to use some bombs, or traditionally they used to fight with the knives or everything that we already saw in ancient India. But now we are in 21st century. So in this 21st century warfare, it is mainly by biological war, or maybe through water wars, or now it is also through cyber warfare also. So in this cyber warfare, they are largely being employed against civilian targets. So whenever they are focusing on this or targeting the civilians, then they will bring war into their homes, right? So till now, nations, they mainly focusing on erecting some cyber defenses mainly to protect their military and as well as some strategic targets. Now they need to go for changing in their cyber defenses, and they need to go for 0 day. So what is a 0 day software? So this 0 day software means it is having capable to cripple a system and it could lie undetected for a long time. So even now we are having this 0 defense softwares are present, but we need this type of 0 day software which is outside of military domain. We need to protect some civilians now. So for this we need some resources from governments, not only from specific government but also across the world, and we need to take some adequate precautionary measures regarding this 0 day software. So finally, this article mainly says that why we need to take care of this data protection, because now data becomes world's most precious commodity. Okay, so because of this, now attacks are seen on this data. So if you are talking about data creation, we create more than 3 quintillion bytes of this data every day, because we are connecting several devices, they are interconnected, right? So because of this, we need to ensure data it is protected properly, and every country they need to come up with this proper data protection law. In India we do not have this, so we have to come up with this data protection law. So if you're talking about data life cycle, we can divide data into 3 types. So first one is data at rest, that means data which is already created but we are storing that data. And second one is data in motion, that means data which is created and it is being transmitted from one device to another devices. So this data which is insecure data, and it is mainly circulating in some uncontrolled networks. And data in use, that means we are using that data. So this article finally says that what is need or what is way forward. So way forward here is we need to build deep technologies. We need to use some new technologies like artificial intelligence and as well as machine learning and as well as quantum computing mainly to save our data. And we need to go for providing some necessary awareness of growing cyber threat to people. And we need to, if there is any companies or there, they need to go for vulnerability assessment, because recently there are many attacks that are seen in, especially in hospitals. Okay, in hospitals we are having digital data of patients, and we are also coming up with a unique health ID also. So whenever healthcare infrastructure which is hacked by any other hackers, then the data of entire countries information that will be gone to other countries, right? So because of this, we need to mainly focus on regular vulnerability assessments in, especially in hospitals or public health infrastructure. Okay, so this is the important way forward which is mainly suggested in this article. So this is just of this topic, and I hope it is clear. So by this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to enroll this current affairs package. Thank you so much.